Well, aloha kakahiaka, everyone, and that means good morning in Hawaiian. My name is Peter Kay. I'm here to welcome you all to the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Today's March 5th, 2021. And if it's not March 5th, 2021 at 10 o'clock Hawaii time for you, it means you're watching this on a pre-recorded basis. So you may want to scroll forward about 5 minutes or so. That's when the real show starts. And but we're gonna have a pre-show, a little bit of fun and banter around with my good friends who are joining me. This is a statewide show, so I've got my good friend Dylan Nonaka, who's here from the Big Island. How's it, Dylan? And we got Scott Startzman. We can do this a little bit better of you here. There we go. And we got Scott Startzman, who is joining us from Oahu, and we got Heidi Dollinger, who is joining us from Maui. So this is the fun part about what I get to talk around with my good friends over here, and we give you a kind of a statewide perspective. And of course, I would be disappointed if Jim was not the first guy to put the comment on. Welcome back, Jim. Aloha kakahiaka, everybody. And we have Joanne who's with us, and Joanne is Joanne is a member of the Islander Ohana. So Joanne, great to see you here. Going to have a lot of a good time with everybody. Lots of things going on. So let's kind of warm up our microphones over here, and I'm going to go in clockwise order. So Dylan, fill me in. What's going on? What's the Aloha shirt? What's the weather like? What's happening?
Got my standard zigzane with a bamboo print today, and the weather's actually a little bit. Looks like there's some sun coming in, but it was really dark this morning, and it was cold. It was like 65 this morning, so everybody was had their sweaters on and didn't want to get out of bed this morning. So rough.
Hey, I've got a t-shirt. See?
That's a layer.
So
right?
cold. I'm so cold. I have a t-shirt. And who else is joining us? Jeremy's back. Jeremy, welcome back. Jeremy, if I'm not mistaken, you're moving to Hawaii to be in the real estate business. I forgot what the title is, but you have to remind me. And then Judy, welcome back, Judy. Aloha Friday. Great to see you. Kinaya is also a member of the Ohana, the Islander Ohana. Great to see you, Kinaya. I'm so glad that you're here from Austin. And Austin, Texas, man, they had some talk about bad weather, right? They had some bad weather there. Glad you're okay. And Christopher, happy Aloha Friday. I'm so glad that you're here. This is great, man. We got everyone's coming in. Tom, how's it, Tom? Welcome back, buddy. Good to see everybody. Yeah, Scott, how's that fake backdrop of yours going on in Oahu? It's a joke. That's not a fake drag. That's real. Scott, what's going on?
I was bummed this morning when I woke up. It was raining. There was like mist coming across the background. There was nothing but clouds in the sky. So I was like, oh, first show, I get to show rain and actually not sun. And I was actually sitting on my couch doing work, and I was like, man, it's cold. What the heck's going on? I looked down, and it was 68 degrees at like 8:45, and I was like, oh, I may have to put a jacket on for the show or something. And now it's up to 70, so I'm not allowed to have a jacket at this point.
Yeah, there you go, man. Exactly. That's why I got my t-shirt. It's been cold. And Robert H. Hey, aloha from California. Dylan, we are booked for the Big Island in late June. Dylan, this is Robert. He's coming out to kind of look at some properties on the Big Island. That's awesome. Jeremy, that's it. Appraiser. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Yeah. And Michael says 63 in Minnesota. My God, how can that be? Clearly, this is a sign of the apocalypse when it's almost as warm in Minnesota in March as it is in Hawaii. That is clearly a sign of the end times. Heidi, how is it going out there in Maui? And what's the coffee of the day today?
Well, it's great here on Maui. I got to walk to my favorite local coffee shop and get my badass coffee. So great way to start the day. We've had some windy weather here, and there's been some rescues of wayward paddleboarders who have just gone too far out and got pushed out by the wind. So my advice would be don't be one of those people. If it's really windy, stay close to shore or don't go out.
That's great advice, Heidi. Don't be one of those people. Yes. Yeah, that is some good advice. Hey, gang, it's 10 o'clock, and we're going to start right on time as we usually always do. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give you all a Hawaii visitor news update. A lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to kind of rip through this. First thing, we had a little tsunami scare, actually. We had a tsunami scare yesterday. First, there was an earthquake with no tsunami warning. Then there was a tsunami watch. And then after a while, there was nothing. So we're all safe. We're all good. There was no tsunami. We're all a little bit worried about that. Oahu is moving forward. Oahu's doing really good on the COVID trail. We moved to tier 3, which means more relaxed restrictions, if that's a word. Restaurants can have higher capacity, larger groups, etc. And it looks like there's some news that we may be moving on to tier 4, and tier 4 would be the least restrictive condition on Oahu. So we're all kind of stoked about that. So good news, things are going in the right direction. Next one, get vaccinated, skip quarantine. Well, Governor Ige has made some mentions that they're hoping to put together a plan where you can have a plan such that people with vaccinations will be able to skip quarantine. Now, this is not in place yet, but they're working on it. So the idea is going to be that if you've been vaccinated and you can kind of show proof of vaccination, it's as if you tested negative, which means you can skip quarantine and go straight to your destination. So that's going to be a really good thing. Maui, Heidi, we got a little bit of a Maui thing going on. Maui looks like they are, I said they're hanging loose over here. So what's happening is that Maui's seeing some kind of spikes. I think it's not major spikes, but they're having some spikes. And some people are saying, hey, yeah, we're going to tighten our restrictions. But I think the mayor has announced that he does not plan to tighten the restrictions amid a spike. This is a quote from the mayor, Michael Victorino, who says, we're not going to make major changes to the restrictions. We know what we need to do. Our visitors know what they need to do. Our businesses are doing a great job. I go to many of these businesses. I don't think we need to up the ante at this point. And I'm going to agree with what he's doing on that. For sure. Kauai too. Looks like the whole state. If you see the trend, you all see a trend over here. Yeah, it looks like things are starting to loosen up. So Kauai is lifting their restrictions, and they're going to be joining the Safe Travels program, which has been in effect for the rest of the state. The Safe Travels program, we talked about this earlier. This is where people can go through a process. There's an app. There's a way to kind of get yourself tested negative, and if you're to get yourself tested and documented. If you're negative, you don't have to be quarantined. Kauai was a little bit of was isolated. They had a different program where you may have had to get re-quarantined if you landed on Kauai. The Mayor Derek Kawakami is announcing that he wants to opt back into the Safe Travels program. The good news, what's going on in Kauai is that because of the small population there, the total population of Kauai is 70,000 people. They've had 24,000 doses of the vaccine. So, percentage-wise, a very high percentage of Kauai is vaccinated. So that's why they're feeling pretty good about that. So that's kind of a good thing. Looks like summer is going to be big. Summer is cranking up. The economists are saying that the summer season is going to be good. So if you are planning on coming to Hawaii for a vacation or otherwise, you definitely want to make sure you kind of plan yourself out there and make sure you've got your plans, because it looks like things are going to be ramping up. And my final comment here, a little bit of news. Aloha Loves. So it's a big bummer. Loves Bakery. Now, if you're a visitor to Hawaii, you don't know what Love's Bakery is, but the rest of us, we all know what Love's Bakery is. And Love's Bakery has been a local icon. They've been in Hawaii for 170 years, and their economic situation was on the brink before COVID due to Costco and the cost of doing business in Hawaii and all kinds of reasons. But I think COVID kind of threw them over the edge. So we're all bummed out about that. And I, just as a cultural mention, want to kind of throw that out to you. And then finally, I did want to show you all what really, really crappy weather in Hawaii looks like. So if you look at that, I'm going to zoom in over here. So if you look at that bottom stripe, we got straight days. It looks like for the next week, it's going to be rainy every single day. And if you look at the lowest temperature, we're looking at, looks like 65, which my God might be right where Minnesota is going to be at from what Michael said there. But 65 is going to be the low, and 72 is going to be the high. So this is the definition of crappy weather in Hawaii. We're going to be staying inside. At least I'm going to be staying inside. Hey, so real quick, before we talk about real estate, is there any news kind of items, not real estate related news, but just regular news that you want to chime in with? Let's just go clockwise. Dylan, anything on the big one that I missed that you should add in that people ought to know news wise?
I don't think so. Nothing super interesting.
That's the way we like it. Nothing
good
super
news, right?
interesting.
No news is good news.
No news is good news. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Scott, anything on Oahu that I missed that's newsworthy?
No, I mean we had a ton of wind this past week, but in general, I I go around now, we're having like 20 new cases a day here on Oahu, which is like nothing. And but everyone's still wearing masks, and I think like it goes back to what I was saying before, that just culturally here we have this tendency to look out for each other and abide by the guidelines and be respectful. So we're kicking butt over here. It feels good. Even my clients from Seattle that just came here said that the vibe and the feel is completely different. There's more restaurants open here than on the mainland.
Yeah, it's great. It looks like, thank God, we're on the right track. I feel like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Heidi, anything on Maui that I missed out news-wise that's worth mentioning?
No big news. I mean, just the amount of visitors we have on Maui has picked up so much. This year was looking really uncertain for tourism and the vacation industry at the beginning of the year. And it's just, anyway, a lot of people want to come to Maui, and it's busy, and anyway, it's fun.
It is, man. It is absolutely fun. All right, great. So we got a couple of comments here. I want to recognize over here, and Jeremy, thank you, Jeremy. He's going to come as an appraiser. That's what it was. And Jim David, aloha from San Diego. Aloha back to you, Jim. Welcome back. And Mark, welcome back. Mark has also joined the Ohana. So yes, Mark, he's going to be joining our cohort. Is going to be starting in April. So I'm going to give you all a little bit news later on that. But Mark, welcome, buddy. Love. love the South Park. The South Park. I think there's like a program. It's called the Mahalo program, if I'm not mistaken. It's a great episode of South Park. It was absolutely hilarious. Jim David, going to Maui and Hawaii Island in June. Just got my second dose of Moderna. Great, Jim. If you're looking for real estate, of course, I hope you're going to be hooking up with Heidi and with Dylan, if that's going to be on your plan. And Joyce is back. Welcome back, Joyce. You found us. Weather, no big deal. We're still living in paradise. Absolutely, Joyce. Absolutely. You know, the joke is I'm going through another crappy day in paradise, right? That's the joke. And Jessica and Wes are here. This Jessica is also a member of the Islander Ohana. So I got my friends with me here. I got my live friends with me, and I got my Islander Ohana friends. That's really cool. All right, let's move on to our next segment. This is a fun day today here. Okay, so even though the weather's crappy, we're having fun. Real estate market. Every couple of weeks, we give you kind of a quick update on kind of what's going on with the real estate market. Let's do it. Let's shake it up here a little bit. Let's go counterclockwise. So how about if we go with Heidi? Heidi, what's going on? What's the latest on Maui since the past 2 weeks that we spoke? Maui's real estate market.
Well, things have just continued to accelerate in the Maui real estate market. There's a lot of buyers right now in the market. A lot of sales happening, sales volumes up, number of sales happening are up, prices are really strong. We're seeing more competition, more multiple offer situations. So, I mean, I would say don't wait because there's more people that are coming here that haven't come yet. So if you want to buy something, I would not wait around.
This has been the theme, kind of week after week after week, which is, of course, a good thing. Scott, what's up with? I got a stat to share with you, Scott. But what's going on with real estate on Oahu in the past 2 weeks?
It's insanity over here. I mean, last time we were on the show, I got that escrow for 150 grand over asking him. I wrote a $75,000 offer, or 75 over asking offer, and didn't get it the other day. But 47% of single family homes are being sold for above the asking price. Condos are starting to follow suit. So February, we actually had our record sales price, median sales price for single family homes and condos. The median number of days on market, how long a home is on the market for someone to be able to see it and buy it, is down to 9 days for single family homes. So it's pretty crazy. I was actually talking about Waikiki last time and how that inventory is starting to shrink in certain areas under, 750,000 range. Well, I actually just showed that some of those last week, and we probably saw 5 or 6, and all of them went into escrow within that time frame that we were looking. So it's picking up on the condo side now. We got more people coming over here, moving over here to work remotely, or just coming back feeling that it's a safe environment to come to, and the market continually is speeding up.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be a way back when this whole thing started. You had mentioned that a lot of people that were selling their single family homes took their homes off of the market because of the COVID uncertainty. I wonder if that's this upward pressure has got to be playing itself out to where we're going to be seeing people put their homes back on the market. One interesting stat, Scott, I'm sure you know about this, but it came to my attention was that there's been the biggest price increases on Oahu have been on the North Shore, Hawaii Kai, and Aina Haina Kuli'o'o areas, which was interesting. I don't know if you had any kind of feedback on, why North Shore. I think it's this sort of this remote worker thing, but you fill me in. Why has the North Shore just gone bonkers?
Yeah, North Shore will be remote worker cases. In fact, there was a listing I was going to have oceanfront up North Shore there that needed significant work. And when it's ended up selling, it sold to someone sight unseen that wasn't even coming over to see it. But there is a little bit of that. That's a quote from, I'm assuming, a news article, right? That you heard, the Kuli'o'o Hawaii Kai. So I looked at those markets the other day. The only problem with that is there's not enough data. Yes, they're very strong, but it's a little skewed because they're looking at
not that many, one or two homes. So got it.
But we're in the 15 to 20% price appreciation range in those areas. In fact, I was just showing yesterday, and I got to do it today, showing Hahaioni Hawaii Kai. And yesterday I was waiting in line at Brokers Open, standing there, waiting for a group of people to come out so we could go in. And that's just on the Brokers Open side. I had another one in Niu Valley, which is that stretch that you're talking about. We tried to get in, couldn't even get in. She totally, the listing agent totally botched the process. She had 50 showings in a day and a half. And they accepted an offer within like less than 48 hours, well over asking.
Jeez. And for a homeowner in Hawaii, having a 15 to 20% appreciation is like, oh my God, it's like, better than hitting the lottery there. But for others, maybe not so much. All right. A couple of quick comments over here. Dylan, this might be one for you to kind of think about. So Travis says, I used to live on Oahu, but wanting to retire on the Big Island, looking for a good family-friendly area to buy affordable land on the Big Island. Travis, let me introduce you to Dylan. Dylan's my man. He was born and raised on the Big Island, and he's going to give us a quick update here on the market in a minute. Michael says, Michael's coming to Westin Hapuna, all right, for spring break in April, and then again in June. At some point, we need to get serious about getting a house condo. Well, Michael, let me introduce you to, and I know you've been here on the show a bunch of times, and I know that Dylan's like a buddy here. So Dylan, fill us in. What's going on with the Big Island?
Well, unfortunately, to our friends that want to come here and buy, I got bad news for you at the moment. You're always going to get honest advice from me, but just the current climate is insane in terms of the amount of properties that we have on the market. So normally, if we look back a year ago in February, which was still somewhat of a regular normal market before COVID hit and was representative of the last couple of years, we would have around, this is speaking island wide here, we'd have between 900 and 1,000 homes in escrow, and there'd be around 3,500 home or properties available totally. So, kind of like a 3.5 to 1 ratio in terms of the homes that are currently under contract and going to close here in the next month or two, and then available homes. So 3,500 about available properties, and then around 900 to 1,000 in escrow. Today, in February, this past month, the data just came out. There are 1,500 homes under contract, and there are only 1,800 available on the whole island. So it's crazy, and that the ratio is like almost 1-to-1 in terms of the number of homes that are under contract versus the number of properties that are available. And so what that means is, I get people contacting me every day saying, hey, is something wrong with my app? Like, is something wrong with your website? Like, I see absolutely nothing available, in my price range or matching my criteria. And I'm telling them, no, that's exactly what it is. And I just looked this morning just in my Kona market, which is, the most popular market, which most people want to move to and buy in. There were 14 homes under $1 million in the Kona market. And just, that number is usually, more like 100. So,
oh my God, you're kidding me. I was going to ask you that. More like 100, and now it's 14.
There's nothing available. Yeah, it's really, really bad right now. And the stuff that does come available, like we've been talking about, has multiple offers. You get 25 showings the first day. I had one of my agents put a house on for it's the only home under 500,000 in a kind of not the best area, but very affordable area in Kona. And she literally had agents begging her to just take their offer and not hold it open for 2 or 3 days and collect offers, because that's what we got to do to serve our clients, right? I mean, get them the best offer possible.
Sure.
But it's so competitive right now, and you have agents literally begging on behalf of their clients just to take their offer, which is already like 20,000 over asking price, right, on the first day. So
wow,
yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy right now. So just prepare yourself for that. And with interest rates ticking up, that may put a little bit of slowdown on what's going on, but that's been definitely fuel on the fire, is the low interest rates. But now they've ticked up above 3% for the first time since June. And that's one thing people are kind of like, oh my goodness, interest rates are going up. I mean, 3% interest rates are still crazy low. So put it into perspective. But that hopefully will, slow things down a little bit and bring some perspective. But, I'm telling people, if you have a house to sell right now, now's the time to do it, because it's amazing the kind of demand there is.
Either that or now's the time to kind of keep holding on to see how crazy that price is going to get before you sell. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Here we got a question here from a fellow a member in the industry. So Scott must know Guy here. So this is Guy LaGuire. Hey, Scott and everyone else, glad to be watching your show. Scott, you must have invited Guy. Guy, welcome. Guy LaGuire with Venture Sotheby's Realty. Any insight on what Big Island needs to do to get more affordable housing development, Dylan or Scott? Well, my snarky answer is supply and demand. Increase supply, and then the price will go down. So, Dylan, the real question is, what do you think that Big Island needs to do to increase the supply?
I was just having this discussion the other day. So this is something that Big Island residents need to really look at seriously and get reasonable about. So I always tell this story. If you look at every time, because it's all driven by politics, right? At the end of the day, our government drives policy, and especially development and housing policy. And an interesting thing on the Big Island is, if you ask people every time there's a mayor's election and they do public polling, you ask people, is affordable housing a problem? 85% say yes. The very next question you ask people, should we build more houses? 75% say no. So there's no way, there's a huge disconnect in the public understanding of how the world works. And so until we kind of come around and figure that out, that there has to be more housing built in order for prices to come down, we're never going to get there. And so that's another big problem with perception, is I ask people who are, anti-development or say we shouldn't have any more homes built. I ask people what percentage of the Big Island is currently zoned for any type of development? Let's have that discussion as a community first and come up with a reasonable number. And most people have not considered that. They have no idea. So I asked them, just throw a number out. What's a reasonable amount of land that we set aside to build stuff on? And, they'll say 10%, 15%, something like that. The reality is that only 4% of the island is zoned for any type of development. So if we, and less than that.
Hold on a second. How much percent is zoned for development?
4%.
4%. I want everybody to hear that loud and clear.
So if we increase that by 1% and went to 5%, there would be a 20% increase in the amount of land that we could build stuff on, and it would dramatically change the market and prices. So we have kind of in Hawaii this desire that government's going to fix it and government's going to force some policy that'll make housing cheaper, and it obviously hasn't worked in the last 30 years. And so we have to get more reasonable about how we build, and then the cost to build. I have a great listing right now, 19 acres of that you could build 37 homes on for $1.5 million. Screaming deal. Everybody that looks at it and looks at what it's going to cost government, to meet all of the requirements that the county will put on you to actually divide that land, looks at it and says, it's too much trouble. I got to put $4 or $5 million in. You could still make $9 million off of it, at the end, if you develop the thing out. But nobody wants to lay out that much risk and that much capital, because there's so many roadblocks, and then government moves the goalpost on us, right? And halfway through changes something, it makes you do another EIS or do another archaeological study, or says there's not enough water or whatever it is. And so you're into this thing, a couple $1 million, and then you can't do it. So government's got to get smart and fix that.
Yeah. Great. Scott, that was a great, I would not call that a rant. I would call that a really
Definitely
good,
a rant.
Yeah, but it was an informed rant. It was an intelligent
It's
rant.
well
So
rehearsed. I do it a couple times a week because people ask me about it. I got it
well, it
down.
sure sounded
So.
like okay. In that case, yeah, because it sounded really good. Scott, is there anything that we need to add to what Dylan said? I think almost the same thing applies on Oahu. That's one reason why the condos there have to be multi-million-dollar condos, because that's what developers need to charge to make profit because of the regulations and the red tape. Anything we need to add to that conversation? And by the way, you're going to give a shout out to your buddy Guy here who joined because of you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a little background for Guy. Hey, Guy, thanks for joining in. When I started on the Big Island up in Waimea 18 years ago, Guy was actually one of the agents that was working in the office at Westall Properties that mentored me in the beginning. So we go way back, longtime friends, and play golf whenever we can get together on the Big Island and stuff. So, no, I mean, Dylan hit the nail on the head. It's funny, I always chuckle because people who say, no, we don't want any more development, no more building, and they want to fight it tooth and nail. And I go, well, how much you going to want to pay for a house? Because, there's that balancing act that we're trying to do here in Hawaii because we're limited in land. We have a certain number of resources. You don't want it to change drastically by building too much. But at the same time, you have to. Otherwise, your prices are going to go through the roof. It's supply and demand. We're a global place. Everybody, a lot of people want to be here. We're out in the middle of the Pacific between the mainland and Asia. And, on Oahu back in 1960s and 70s, they were building 14,000 new units per year. That's condos and homes. And what you got in Waikiki was it was a massive explosion. And you got, some condos in Waikiki with no parking. It makes no sense. So the government here swung the pendulum the complete opposite direction to the point, even during that last boom that we had, we were only building 4,000 new units per year, and we weren't even satisfying the local demand, not to mention the offshore demand that we had for housing. So unfortunately, we are going to have to figure out a way to add more supply to be able to allow that to happen. But you also have this resistance from a lot of people in the local community that don't want change. That's been one of my biggest gripes. I'm more of a progressive person. I like thinking outside the box and moving the needle forward. And that's one of the harder things of living in Hawaii is there is a resistance to that a lot of times. And like Dylan said, moving the goalpost on you. I remember I had to go testify in front of the city council when I was building my Haula project because I fell under the monster home category, and we had permits, we were totally legal, but we were grandfathered, and they came out with this bill that said, we can retroactively take away your permit and make you pay to remove what you've done. And I'm like, you can bankrupt people. How do you give someone permission and then take it away? So I had to go down there. I was the only person against the bill. Governor Neil Abercrombie's there. He's like, oh, go get those guys, all the bad people. And I had to talk some sense and be like, look, you're going to bankrupt, some of these smaller developers who are bringing affordable housing to the market. You got to be careful with what you guys are doing. So
go put those evil developers in jail.
Yeah.
So that a great, this is a great topic, and it kind of making me think that we should almost have like a segment on this alone, and maybe bring in some other people. Like there's a good economist friend of mine, Scott, actually brought up that graph that was showing how housing was, there was increasing housing inventory until 1970, and after that, in 1970, bam, the curve went flat. It just kind of all came to a stop. Lots to talk about on this issue, and we're going to have to hold it for another topic. Otherwise, we're going to use the whole show just to do this. Hey, Ray is a buddy. Ray I know Ray has hooked up with Scott. How's it? Renting in Kailua, probably long-term renting, and that's okay until rents jump. How are rents doing now? Hold off on that one, Scott. You want to get to that one later. Guy came back, and maybe we'll have Guy on to join us here. With this trend, the workforce is going to diminish, and people at Kuhio and other Kuhio and other high-end resorts are going to be serving themselves. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. I mean, we all know we're heading for a problem as this becomes more expensive. Nice word from Stargazer. Welcome back, Stargazer. Good to see you. Very smart group. Great advice. Yes, indeed. Mark says, do some of you have experiences with fix and flip in Hawaii? Every time I use platforms like Zillow, I found a lot of other houses that could be easily revitalized view from the other side of the earth. Mark, the fix and flippers are right here. You're looking at them. It's Dylan and Scott. I know Scott's done a bunch of fix and flips directly, and I would caution anyone against doing real estate investing by Google. It's just there's a whole lot of issues, and we could talk about that another time as well. Richard Lancaster, welcome back, Richard. Welcome back. All right, we got a bunch of topics over here, so I'm kind of torn, but I do want to move forward. We do have a big one that I wanted to discuss, and actually, I know one of our members of the Islander Ohana who's watching right now, I will let you remain nameless unless you want to reveal yourself, is moving to Hawaii, and they actually have two dogs they're bringing over. So they went through a whole bunch of experiences, but I did want to talk about pets, because pets, we all love our pets, and pets are becoming even more popular by the day. And so a lot of people ask about advice on pets moving to Hawaii. There are rules that you do have to follow. And let's look at a sample question here we have from Lisa. And Lisa says, what are the rules around bringing pets? What is quarantine like for them? Any other advice on owning or adopting house pets? So this is a generic question, and I'd like us to kind of expand on this one to, there you go. It's Jessica. Jessica and Wes are the said pet owners. Indeed, right? This is for you, Jess. This is for you. So let's kind of go around, and let's go clockwise this time. Dylan, what advice, what should people that are moving to the Big Island with pets, what should they be considering?
Just the lead time. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, vaccinations, sometimes you have to quarantine, but do your research and figure out how much time it's going to take, because it is not a simple process to get pets here. But in general, it's a very pet-friendly place. So once you get them here, they should be happy. Of course, they're going to love the weather just like you will, but it's you can't just throw them on the plane and come over here. There's sometimes months ahead of time you got to start that process in order to make it a smooth transition.
Hey, Jessica, if you want to share, I'd be curious of how far out the planning that you started doing to get your pets here quarantined. That would be helpful to everybody. Scott, what about Oahu? What do you have to kind of think about if you're bringing pets to Oahu?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just like the COVID testing for coming here to skip quarantine. It's upfront planning is the key. We are a rabies-free state, which is why you have to jump through hoops or you're going to have to quarantine your pet. I don't have a client that's ever quarantined their pet because we plan and prep that up front. And there's a checklist online. As long as you follow it, and you need to follow it to the T, you shouldn't have any issues. You can actually skip quarantine altogether. They have what they call a 5-day or less program to immediate release. And the immediate release, I think, is $185 fee, but you got to get rabies testing done. Then you got to do blood work where you get an antibody testing done, fill out all this paperwork, have a health physical that gets done. All of that work has to be done more than 30 days out prior to arriving, but the paperwork that you fill out and submit has to be received here no less than 10 days prior to your arrival. So you're realistically talking minimum 45 days of starting some of the work that you're doing. So realistically, it's several months because of the rabies testing. Then you have another testing that goes on. Then you got to fill out your paperwork. Then you got to submit it in, and there's a wait time period there from when you do the antibody test. You have to wait 30 days. So once you wait that 30-day period and go out and fill out that paperwork, then you got to send it in. So you're probably about 3 to 4. Some people even do it 5 months out, starting that preparation. But once they do, then they don't even have to quarantine their pet. Everyone's fear with the quarantine is how traumatized is their pet going to be. So they try to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, actually, Scott, that's one thing that you brought up that is something that we kind of take for granted here in Hawaii, which is that Hawaii is one of the very few places on Earth that is rabies free. There are no rabies present in the Hawaiian Islands. So that means, if you get bit by a dog or any other animal, one thing you don't have to worry about is rabies. And so thanks for mentioning that, Scott, because I totally forgot about that. And that's why we've had such a very strict quarantine program. Back in the old days, back when I was young, it was like 120 days of quarantine. It was insane. And it was not very, very popular. Thanks, Jessica. Jessica says, yeah, the sooner you know, the better. Give yourself 6 to 9 months to get all the stuff done. Now, that's coming from the horse's mouth, someone who's moving to Oahu with some pets. So that's definitely what the case is. And Mary Jean, excited to move back. Yeah, well, we're gonna be. Make sure you join us and keep us posted on what's going on. Heidi, is there anything different in Maui that you have to kind of think through on the pet side, quarantining, planning, etc.? What's going on with that?
Well, it used to be your pet would have to quarantine on Oahu and then come over to Maui. So now they have the direct release program, which, like what Dylan and Scott had mentioned, I mean, it's kind of a joke. If you're coming to Maui, your pet needs to start getting ready before you do. Only other thing I had to share is I had a client once who had a pet snake, and you can't bring a snake to Hawaii. There's no snakes here. They're not allowed. So
snakes are not. Yeah, I guess you have to be careful about what kind of pet, right? You can't. Yeah, snakes not good. We don't have any snakes here either. That's another thing that we don't have. We don't have snakes. Heidi, I'm sorry I cut you off. Is there anything else you want to add to that? It was a great line. Okay, thanks. Well, one thing I love about our panel here is that we kind of fill in little details. It's like a big puzzle piece, right? There's a topic, and each one of us has something valuable to contribute. So I really, really appreciate that. And actually, even on speaking of that, I appreciate everybody else who's with us. So Joyce, our tenant, bought a dog, no issue, except she had to fill out a ton of paperwork. No quarantine needed. Sadly, no beaches for pets, but a great dog park in Holualoa. Yeah. One thing that we should mention is the difficulty, though, at the same time, as far as the paperwork is concerned, like you all said, you have to go through and plan it through. But what about renting? Renting with pets? I understand. Yeah, there you go. You're all nodding, because I remember, Dylan, your comment once was good luck, meaning that you're not going to find rent. Scott, renting on Oahu, not that easy, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, pet friendly renting.
No, and I'm recommending to people at this point, hey, leave your pet on the mainland. If you're coming just to rent, that's one thing. If you're coming to rent to buy, leave your pets on the mainland until you get into your home here. And it may take 6 months or so. Otherwise, you're going to complicate that situation and trying to find that temporary housing.
Yeah, so temporary housing is really Heidi, is that any different in Maui? Renting with pets, I'm assuming it's really difficult. Most places don't accept pets, if I'm not mistaken.
People do it, but it is definitely more difficult.
Yeah,
it's definitely more difficult. You'll have less options. I mean, it's hard enough to find a rental without a pet, and then throw in a pet. It makes it more difficult. But do you know what? People do it. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Mark's got a good question. Mark, who is a new member of the Islander Ohana, he's going to be joining the cohort in April. Pets aren't allowed on the beach? ? That's a really good question. I know they're leashed on the beach. What's the here? Real quick, Dylan. What's the rule on the big one with pets on the beach?
Yeah, a lot of the county and state beach parks don't allow them for obvious reasons. I mean, you can't have dogs running around crazy and fighting and pooping on the beach and stuff like that. But there's a lot of places, I mean, especially on the Big Island, where they're not like regulated parks. I mean, you go a little off-road and you hit the shoreline. And so, I mean, those kind of areas, you don't have those restrictions. But another thing to consider with pets is, again, this is a prior planning thing, is if you're considering, moving in the next year or two and you don't currently have a pet, but you want one, just wait till you get here, because we have a huge demand for people needing to adopt pets here because of the, one of the reasons is the good weather. I mean, stray animals proliferate here, right? So all of our humane societies usually, are always short on people who are willing to adopt pets. So if you're okay getting a mutt or a feral cat, and a poi
dog. It's called a poi dog.
Yeah, a poi dog. Yeah. Then just wait till you get here. You can avoid, the heartache of trying to get them over here and all the trouble, and you'll have plenty of options to get a great pet once you get here.
Yeah. Scott, I should know this because I have a dog, but we don't. Our dog does not like the water, so he doesn't swim. Scott, what's the rule with beaches with dogs on the beach on Oahu? You can't do it here either, right?
I don't know exactly, but I thought they were allowed. I thought they were allowed on leash, because I mean, you go to Kailua, man. You go out to the beach, I see dogs running all over the place over there, and they're not even on leashes, a lot of them. And I see people walking up and down Kailua Beach all the time with pets. Whether or not it's allowed, I'm not sure. I can't remember, but
Yeah, I can't either.
Nobody's enforcing anything if they're not allowed.
Certainly on a leash. What about Maui, Heidi? Do you know what the rules are with pets on beaches on Maui?
Well, I see them on the beach all the time. I don't know if they're allowed or not. I think in public beaches, they're probably not technically allowed. I mean, they can't have pets running wild and
Certainly
making
got to be on leash. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and especially some remote beaches. I mean, if there's nobody else out there, I mean, I see people walking their dogs and things. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's
Really.
more the formal beach parks where you have like a lifeguard and stuff like that, where you're gonna have issues. And there's so many beaches that aren't like that, so you just gotta avoid those.
Just got to avoid those places. Great. Excellent. Let's see. Joyce chimes in. Thank you, Joyce. We always let dogs on property except for list of 10 breeds. Insurance policy restricts. I'll bet that may be one of the large dogs maybe that Jessica's talking about. But Jessica, don't worry, because Joyce is on the Big Island. So Jessica said, I found some condos that have breed size restrictions, hoping to buy one who allows large dogs. Jess, you know who to be talking to. Scott's the guy on that on Oahu. Let's see what else we got over here. Oh, we have Diane. Aloha from Naples, Florida. Aloha, Diane. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, Joyce. The insurance policy is for sure. So, yep, good clarification. Great. We got the gang that's talking to each other on the chat, which is fantastic. Excellent. Good. I think we covered this topic. Let's hold on a sec. We're gonna.
Hey, Peter, one last thing to consider on that, especially on Oahu and your condos. And I ran into this yesterday. I was showing property down on Ward Village side. There's a couple of buildings there are 50 pounds or less as far as how big the dog can be. And then most of them are going to be like 35 pounds or less. So the size of the dog does matter considerably here on Oahu. And it's based condo by condo if you're looking at condo living.
Yeah, and I would say, like, unless you have a dog already, like I'm sure Jessica, who loves her dogs as everyone does, you definitely want to go for a small dog. A small dog is kind of where you're at. If you're going to do what Dylan said, which is to pull to get a dog. Man, I'm losing my train of thought here. To wait until you get here to get a dog, you definitely want to go for a small one. That's going to be where you want to go with that. Okay, I think we did this pets thing. I think we did the pets topic some fair justice. Let's move on to next topic over here, and we're going to be talking about pricing. Now, I got this question that came in, and I thought it was an interesting one. The question was a simple, short one: is Maui crazy overpriced? And the topic I wanted to discuss, because this comes up a lot, is about why is Hawaii real estate so expensive? And to Val's question, is it overpriced? So what I want to kind of chat on is people who say, these are crazy prices. This Maui crazy overpriced. So Heidi, when someone like Val talks to you and says, is this crazy overpricing? How do you respond to that?
Well, I think whenever you're investing in something, especially real estate, you want to make sure that you're buying something that's a good value. I mean, my first question is, what are you comparing it to? Because I work with clients that come from different markets from all over the US and Canada, and the market here on Maui is very different, for example, than the market in the Midwest or somewhere else in the United States. And I mean, you definitely can't compare them. Often buyers come into the Maui market thinking, well, in Texas, 400,000 gets me this. Well, on Maui, it's going to be a little bit different. So, I mean, I think your reference point, you want to make sure that you're looking at the actual market that you're buying in, because keep in mind, when you go to sell your property, you're going to be selling it in the Maui market as well. You're not going to be selling it in a different market. As far as is the market overpriced, our median prices on Maui have been steadily increasing since 2012. I had people in 2015 saying the market's overpriced, I'm going to wait, I'm not going to buy anything. And the prices have continued to go up. So when I'm working with buyers, I mean, my advice is to really look at and understand the current market and see what's going on and buy something that's a good value in the current market. I mean, long-term investing in real estate has been really great for people long-term. I mean, we're on an island with limited space, limited opportunities to develop. A lot of times, what's here is here as far as the inventory.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. That's a great way to look at this. Scott, is Oahu crazy overpriced?
I mean, I would contend no. I mean, there's a reason there's a ton of buyers buying in the market, right? They obviously don't feel it's overpriced.
In fact, Scott, if I may interject, they think it's underpriced, which is why they're bidding over the asking price. So the argument is it's underpriced on Oahu. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I just had to give perspective. I just had a client come from California who, when they listed their property for like 1.4, it's in escrow at 1.9 with 150 grand non-refundable to be released immediately to them with no contingencies. We're not seeing that here. So is that market crazy overpriced compared to here? I think everybody's kind of looking at this at, okay, where is the market going? Where things headed? They're obviously hedging that we're headed in an upward trajectory. They wouldn't be doing that. Overpriced, what are you comparing it to? I had a conversation, I remember this was about 15 years ago with my uncle, was talking about this unit. I said, man, I could sell this thing for like 600,000. I could go pay cash back in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I grew up. Brand new construction, half-acre parcel, brick home, Viking appliances, the whole 9 yards for like 250,000. And we both looked at each other because he grew up in North Carolina too. He goes, yeah, but who the heck wants to live in North Carolina? And we laughed, just making fun of where we came from. But it was, an interesting perspective looking at that. I don't think it's priced because people were willing to pay it.
That's it. I mean, the simple definition, if it's only overpriced, if no one's buying it, if people are buying it, there's an argument to be had to say it's actually underpriced. Dylan, give me a Dylanism. I need to have a Dylanism on this one. Dylanism, everybody, for those of you that are not regulars on the shows, he's got these great one-liners. So give me the Dylanism on the is Kona overpriced? Is Hilo overpriced?
It's just perspective and how important it is to you, right? How many of you go into at the airport, you're thirsty and you buy $10 bottle of water, right? Is it overpriced? Yep, but you wanted it, you needed it at the time. So the same is true of housing. And if this is where you want to be, this is where you desire to be, you're going to pay what a seller is asking, and that's the true definition of market value, right? What a buyer and seller agree on a price, that's what the market value is. So to them, it's a fair price, and they proceed with the transaction. If a buyer doesn't agree with the seller's price and they don't come to a agreement, then there's no agreement, and the buyer can contend it was overpriced and the seller can contend it wasn't, and we're there. So yeah, it's all a matter of perspective and people coming together. And that's really one of the frustrating things right now with appraisals, is that appraisals are based on lagging information, right? They're based on the past 6 months of information, not based on the current climate. And a lot of times appraisers are using comps and situations that are not reflective of the current market, and we're having issues with appraisals because of that. But really, a good appraiser is going to try and justify the price, because the definition of market value is a buyer and seller agreeing on a price. Pretty simple. And talk about the overpricing issue. My wife and I have been binging on Survivor episodes as a kind of a fun thing to watch. And one of the segments that came to mind on Survivor is the one where he gives each person $500, right? And then he opens up and he pulls open a plate with a burger and fries, right? And people pay $400 for a burger and fries. Is it overpriced? No. Because at the time they're so darn hungry, that they'd rather kind of blow the money on burger and fries. So is a $400 plate of burger and fries overpriced? Well, not if you haven't eaten for 30 days. It's a deal. So that goes back to the whole overpricing. So indeed, it's all about what people are willing to pay, and clearly, people do find the value. They are willing to pay the price, and that's why the market is doing what it's doing. And Stargazer kind of chimes in here. Yeah, LA is expensive and similar to Hawaii. Correct, exactly. Yeah, is LA overpriced? Well, not if it's worth it to you. All right. I think I appreciate you guys kind of going through this segment with me. We got a few minutes before we go into our real estate
Diamonds and Deals. I did want to hit this real quick because we talked about renting a while ago. Ray asked, I'm going to bring back Ray's question. How are rents doing now? Scott, on Oahu, really quick. Do you have a sense of what the rent situation is looking like on Oahu? Has it changed? Has COVID kind of changed the formula with Airbnbs now not being available and things of that nature? What's up with that?
It's a little different. All the property managers I talked to from when we opened the state back up November on are tight on rental inventory at this point. Your Waikiki area is still going to be the area of your best luck, but the longer term areas where workforce housing is what I want to call it. The longer term areas where locals are living and stuff, it's a much tighter market. I don't think they're really moving up, but I see tighter inventory and just kind of stable rental prices for now.
Thank you, Scott. Guy is chiming in over here. Long ago, one of my brokers, who Scott knows, said to a buyer, "I don't sell investments, I sell lifestyles." Yes, indeed. That's so true in Hawaii. People are not just buying a property, not a new idea. Thank you, Guy, for that wisdom. Thank you for chiming in. Really appreciate that. And I love this. I love this, man. Now, I did not pay Mark to say this. Survivor, best show ever. Yeah. Sorry, Mark. I agree. I totally agree. I was going to say that this show, Living in Hawaii, the Hawaii Aloha Friday Real Estate Hawaii show, is the best show ever. But I said that. You didn't say that. I said it. All right. Let's go on. We're going to go to our next segment over here, which is Diamonds and Deals. So this is where I've asked my friends here to pull together aspirational properties that they think is either a diamond or a deal or both. And it's always kind of fun. There's almost like a competition. You'll see it's either who's got the highest price, who's got the lowest price, who's got all kinds of stuff. So let's start with this one. This is in Maui, a $2.995, $3 million property, 52 Launiu Way in Launiu Poko, Maui. Heidi, tell us about what we are looking at. My God.
So this property has a nickname, and it's called Paradise Villa. And it's about a 1,200 square foot house. There's a little pool house, separate living area, this beautiful pool and jacuzzi. And you have some ocean views, a little over half an acre. This is in Laniapoko, which is in West Maui. It's an agricultural community, so you have bigger lots, a lot of fruit trees, avocados, citrus, and it would be a great place to meditate and relax and just kind of get away.
It's stunning. I mean, it's just stunning. I'm looking at the aerial shot. I mean, like you said, what's the nickname of this property again?
The Paradise Villa.
Paradise Villa, man, well said. I mean, it's quote only a 1,200 square foot home, which is relatively speaking a small home. So basically, this is a beach house getaway. My goodness, thank you, Heidi, for this. And could be yours for the low price of 2.995. Easy. It's going to probably get bid. Is this crazy? Is this crazy high price? No. It's going to probably be sold by our next show. Okay, let's see. This looks like a Naha listed for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. This got to be on Oahu for 1.678. Scott, what are we looking at?
Yeah, this is a Naha and Kaka'ako. I actually showed this one yesterday. Just came on the market a couple of days ago. Does allow pets, and I think it's up to 50 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. But they have a dog park area on the amenities deck. They also have this insane pool. You got to take a look in the middle picture on the right. So it cantilevers out over the front of the building by about 10, 15 feet. And it's glass bottom. So when you swim out there, they're actually redoing it, retiling it right now. But when you swim out there, you can look below, see people walking down below.
I saw that. Okay, so this is that one. That's really crazy. It's like a pool that sticks out like a giant diving board, but it's like a pool. It's wild.
Yeah, and to go back to what Guy LaGuire said, this is a lifestyle property. If you want that kind of lifestyle, they have valet parking. If you want your car cleaned and waxed and everything, all you got to do is call downstairs. They have concierge service. They have even that lower right picture is the movie theater room. You can reserve that. You call that and reserve it. The guys will come down and they'll make popcorn out of the movie theater popcorn machine. They have so many amenities on this place: volleyball court, tennis court, you name it. towel service for when you go into the workout room, the steam room, sauna. It's like your own oasis. This was the second tower by Ward Village. Ward Village is developing 60 acres down there with roughly about 13 to 15 condo towers. This was number 2. Waiea was the first one, which was the flagship condo development for that section. But
It's crazy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
1,300 plus square feet, 2 bedroom, 2 bath at 1.678.
It's cheaper than it's a more square foot for a little bit less than Heidi's property. But again, I mean, you can't compare the two. They're completely different lifestyles altogether. Scott, just out of curiosity, do you know what all these phenomenal amenities? What's the maintenance? What's the monthly maintenance on this property got to be like?
It's a little over $1,700 bucks a month. So it's $1.30 a square foot, which is right on that higher end for the newer construction. But it does include gas. You do have gas for cooking in your
wow
in the kitchen. Yeah, cable. And the AC is central. It's centrally chilled, and then you have the blower in the unit. So the electric bill only runs about $150 a month.
So that's amazing. Hey, $1,700 a month to have a valet service and to have my car waxed and to have towels and to have a movie theater. And Scott, is that the unit in the upper right hand corner? Is that the unit's kitchen in the upper right hand corner? Got it.
Yeah, European teak cabinets.
Got it. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. And let's see, we have a quick comment over here from Aaron. Aaron Wish, Woot, finally caught you guys live. Moving back there in the fall. Welcome, Aaron. Glad to have you here with us, buddy. Glad to have you here. All right, let's get to our next one over here, which is 1 bedroom, 1 bath in the Royal Kailua for $239. Dylan, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I went deal this week, not diamond.
Man, deal.
But again, right, you can have the lifestyle at a couple $1,000,000, or you can have the lifestyle at $239,000, and it's a small condo, like 600 square feet. But the HOA fee is under $500 a month, very affordable for Kona. But this one's nicely upgraded, so everything's ready to go, move in ready, nice countertops and flooring and everything. So if you want that simple lifestyle and you want to be able to live pretty close to the heart of Kailua, you can walk in a town from here. Lots of restaurants and stuff to do. Definitely a good option. This is going to be gone probably today or tomorrow. This just hit the market yesterday. But our condos under 300,000 are few and far between, especially ones in good shape that you don't have to do a bunch of work to and upgrade. So yeah, just kind of both ends of the spectrum. And this is definitely a good option if you just want that simple retirement lifestyle or minimalist lifestyle. You don't need a lot of space. Perfect.
And it's like you said, it's probably sold already. By the time the show. So these are aspirational properties. So yeah, great as usual. Great variety. Do a quick review of these. We got this amazing oasis on Maui. It's just breathtaking. Just look at that. It's just crazy, right? You look at all those coconut trees on the property and the pool and everything. It looks like a small resort. And we got this like really kind of awesome high-end urban living on Oahu in a phenomenal location. Scott mentioned it's called Kaka'ako is the neighborhood. You're just steps away from you're a very, very short walk away from the beach. Aloha Beach Park in the middle of shopping. It's the happening area. And then you got Dylan bringing us this property that's already sold. Probably already sold. But it's a great deal. $239, $500 a month. Can't go wrong. Excellent. Great example of all these properties. All right. We're gonna move on. We're coming to a close over here. I did want to clue everybody in on something really fun that we're done. This is the IslanderOhana.com. This is something that I've been building for some time now, and we got through our first cohort in January. What is this? This is about, we want to live the dream in Hawaii. Or you want to live the dream in Hawaii. So what I did is I thought about, what could I put together? Could I put together a program that would help you move to Hawaii in the best possible way? What would that be? Help you avoid disaster from making a wrong decision. Hawaii's not for everybody. Decades of wisdom. I took everything I've learned that I've lived in Hawaii since the mid 80s, and I put everything that I can think was important, put into a collection of videos that you can go through. It's about making new friends. There's going to be a bunch of people that are the cohort. A lot of the folks from the January cohort are here watching this show right now, and we're having a bunch of people that are going to be joining an April cohort. And you connect with trusted locals. not just people like Scott and Dylan and Heidi, but basically my entire Rolodex is what I share with you, the people that I know and trust, known for decades. The next cohort is in April. I'm going to pop a link right now in the description. And if you want to get on that, we've got the registration has already started. It's filling up pretty quickly. I think I launched it yesterday and we're about halfway full already. So if this is something that appeals to you, you want to get involved and registered, just you'll click on that link, pop in your email, and I'll give you back a quick link on where you can go to register. This thing pays for itself. If you're serious about Hawaii, there's a cost of the program. I got special deals, so you have to get in on the list to get what the special deal is. But this more than pays for itself. I mean, quickly. For what amounts to basically a trip to Costco, you get to have stuff that it would take a lifetime for you to figure out. So with that, I'm gonna. I think we got a little bit of time over here. Let's see if we got any more questions that we can pull. No, I think we're kind of good. Why don't we do this? Let me flip back over here to our regular view with my friends. Let's go and. Let me move on to there we go. We got some closing thoughts over here because we're a little bit early. It's 10:55, but that's all right. So let's move on to do some closing thoughts and bring the show to a close. By the way, if you have any questions, you need to pop it in like right now because we're going to go. Oh, we do have some questions. Great. So let's take this one real quick. Aaron just popped one in. Aaron said, question for Dylan. On Big Island, can I rent out an in-law suite in my primary residence as a short-term vacation rental? How does that work, Dylan?
Yeah, you absolutely can. There is no restriction on that unless your HOA has some type of restriction. But
and by HOA, we mean
homeowners association.
Homeowners association. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. So the thing to understand real simply about the short-term vacation rental regulations here is if the property is completely rented out, then the regulation applies. You got to get a permit, jump through hoops. Sometimes properties don't qualify. But if it is your residence and it's a hosted rental, hosted is the term, and you live on the property or someone lives on the property, you can rent a portion of it out, and there are no regulations on that.
All right, thanks, Dylan. I really appreciate that. Let's kind of move on. Thanks. Don't have any other questions at this point. Let's go to our closing thought. Here's like a little inspirational kind of a closing thought. What's been sort of inspiring you this week? Let's do counterclockwise. We're going to start with Heidi, then Scott, then Dylan. Heidi, what's your closing thought for today? I'm sorry, Heidi, you're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. And it is especially applies to just this really busy, competitive real estate market that we've been experiencing here on Maui. And that is, don't get attached to any particular outcome. Always focus and hope for the best thing that's going to happen. So sometimes if things don't work out exactly like you're planning, but maybe there's a reason for that, and just focus on the best thing happening. A lot of times I've had clients, they didn't get one property, but something better came along and it turned out great. So just focus on the best outcome and having faith in that.
Excellent. Focus on the best thing. Focus on the best outcome. Thank you, Heidi. Scott, what's your closing thought for today?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually saw this quote earlier this week, and I thought about you, Peter, and kind of what you're putting together, and I chuckled a little bit at it. It says, if it were predictable, it would cease to be life, and it would be without flavor. And I thought about, you gave us a sneak peek of what you're doing with the Islander Ohana, and I was totally blown away and impressed. And I'm like, no, you're trying to make it predictable for people to be able to make the move over here, but it's full of flavor. It's not going to lack flavor. I'm impressed with what you put together. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and it's definitely going to make it easier for people to make that move. So thanks for all you're doing.
Well, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. And I guess I'm trying to get rid of the bad flavoring so that the good flavoring kind of comes through. Dylan, give us your closing thought.
I've been thinking about this. This is a kind of a military leadership philosophy that applies to the real estate market lately, is that when you're taking fire, right, when you're taking gunfire, a good decision now is better than a great decision 5 minutes from now, right? Because you can't wait 5 minutes and deliberate when you're taking fire. And that's definitely the case right now. And I've seen this. I've got several clients that, bought 5 or 6 months ago that now are just feeling like geniuses because they took a leap at that time. They took a risk. It was still kind of COVID lockdown, and some of them bought sight unseen. But today. They made a good decision then, instead of waiting to make a great decision now. And the people that waited, are really having a hard time finding anything even available, let alone, making an offer on something. There's nothing even in their price range. So sometimes you just got to live life that way and, go with the now and not worry about the future.
So what's that one-liner again? I love that about the one-liner that you had, Dylan.
When you're taking fire, a good decision now is better than a great decision 5 minutes from now.
A good decision now is better than a great decision 5 minutes from now. Excellent. Yeah, very well said. And Mary Jean agrees. Thanks, everyone. Great show. We did get one last minute question, so we're going to take it real quick. Jeff Brink says, I'd like to move to Honolulu, and I hear Diamond Head Hillside is an amazing building. How do you feel about it and the homeowners association? Scott, really quick on this one.
Well, what could be better than living in this building? That's a buddy of mine. He's actually my neighbor, owns next door, but this is Diamond Head Hillside right here. So, and topics of homeowners associations is entirely different, complete.
A whole other
gone down those rabbit holes too many times.
Well, thanks, Scott, for having Jeff kind of give our trick question over here. So thanks, everybody. We're going to give you a big aloha. Have a great one, folks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you all for being here. Love you all. Say goodbye, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
See ya.
All right, folks. Aloha.